I'm not going to get emotional. I end up getting emotional. But basically, this is my second time in the past, I think 3 years, being laid off from honestly somewhat of a dream job. And while I'm so incredibly grateful to be given opportunities to work in really cool industries and with really cool people, it is draining. Not only is it really draining working corporate sometimes, but working in a field that tends to have a lot of layoffs, because even when you have a job, it never really feels that secure. And the irony of it is I'm a recruiter and I have been for the last 7 years. So I literally work in hiring and I work with people who.
Hey folks, layoffs are accelerating. We're going to show you the record pace that we're on this year for layoffs, store closures, and of course, when that happens, people get laid off. Companies, even if they're not closing doors, they're downsizing, they're cutting costs. They're bracing for all this economic uncertainty, which we're going to talk about later in this report. Things are about ready to get a lot worse, it looks like. But let's continue with some people that just got laid off. You just heard she's a recruiter. So if a recruiter is getting laid off, what does that tell you? That tells you that the company's hiring less, and they're likely not even going to be hiring at all if they're getting rid of the recruiter. Maybe they have other recruiters. Maybe she was one of the few that got laid off. But let's continue to take a listen here. And obviously she's kind of upset here. So let's take a listen.
Who either lose their jobs or are transitioning jobs all the time. But when it happens to you, you still don't really know what to do. And even when you know that the layoff is not your fault and there's not really much you could have done, even in this last role, I was literally promoted 3 months ago, and then last Friday was my last day. So even knowing
Promoted 3 months ago and then let go. That just shows you the level of uncertainty and the level of unpreparedness that many employers, many companies are going through right now, right? You promote somebody, then 3 months later you're laying off. That just shows you that there's something unexpected that happened in the company. If you would have saw this coming 3 months ago, you would have probably never promoted this person in their recruiter position, right? Things change very quickly, and all this uncertainty right now has companies really shifting very quickly. So you've really got to be prepared mentally and financially, hopefully, to lose your job and lose income.
that there's nothing I could have done and getting feedback that there's nothing that I could have done, it's hard because a part of you is really proud of your work and where you've gotten in your career. And so it feels like rejection when it gets taken away from you, and that part really sucks. I did not think this was going to be a come on here and cry video because I've literally never done that on social media, but I was hoping maybe I was going to have something more inspirational.
Folks, more people are just taking to social media to get this stuff out. Maybe it's they don't have friends that they can talk to, and when you're working a lot, sometimes your social life gets pushed to the side, and then all of a sudden you go from working a lot, sometimes 40 hours, sometimes more, to not working, and you haven't been really talking to your friends. So sometimes you don't have people to talk to, right? So and I think you probably too, appreciate these people putting themselves out there, just like I put myself out there. I tell you what's happening in my life with my economic situation, investment strategies, all that stuff. It's kind of like therapy to get this stuff out. So I really thank these people and her and others for putting this out. Let's continue though.
To share. Unfortunately, at this time, I do not. Just know that it sucks. And yeah, if this has happened to you, I'm in your boat, and it's okay, I think, to be emotional about it. Especially, I mean, I'm American, so especially living in a culture that really prides themselves on their work and their careers, and attaches a lot of value to that. It's okay. It's okay to be a little sad. And at the same time, historically, people tend to figure things out and move on to bigger and better opportunities. So yeah, I'm just holding on to that rejection is just redirection, even when it doesn't feel like it at the time.
All right, people. So we're going to get more into the layoff scenario and situations. We're going to tell you about what Starbucks is doing. We've seen several rounds of layoffs from Starbucks, but now they're eliminating a lot of their remote positions, which is causing people to quit. And many people are actually speculating that companies and Starbucks and other companies are doing this to get rid of people, knowing that people wouldn't want to go back to the office or they wouldn't want to relocate, right? We're going to get into that here in just a little bit. But first, another example of a recent layoff here I want you to check out.
Laid off Friday.
Just laid off.
I'm coming off a year, but in my last year, I went through Hurricane Helene and the aftermath of it. And I have been through a lot of craziness this year. But on my 2025 bingo card, I absolutely did not have being unemployed on that.
Folks, you think you're having a rough time? She went through a hurricane, did she say last year? Now getting laid off. I mean, let's continue.
It's really weird for me because I'm a person, I've been working since I was 14 years old. I literally don't know what to do with myself. I know that I will find another job. I know that it will work out, but Lord have mercy, I am exhausted. I am exhausted for throwing myself in to companies and giving them 45 plus hours weekly and being disposable.
Disposable, folks. That's a good word. You are disposable to these companies. No matter how many years you've been there, no matter how many hours you put in the overtime. You were there when they needed you, but you're just gone in an instant. I mean, sometimes the same day. We're seeing people get laid off here, and we're gonna give you an example of that here later in this video. But continue with this person right here.
I don't know what to do anymore. I do my best. I am a remote healthcare recruiter. That's what I've been working on. I've also have experience in marketing.
Another recruiter, folks. Wow. It's 2 in a row. I didn't cherry pick these either.
If anybody has any things that they know is available or hiring, please let me know. But I'm in a weird place right now. I'm okay. I don't know what my next chapter in life is. And I'm a person that likes to plan ahead, and there's a freedom in having no idea, but also it's a little wild. So please feel free to give me any advice or send me any jobs that you know are available. It would be great.
All right, it is freedom. I mean, when you get let go, you do have a bit of a sense of freedom. The way most people are feeling, though, is more shock and panic. So maybe the ones we've been watching here, I mean, one was crying, so she wasn't too happy, but it depends on your financial situation. If you're not knowing where you're going to get your next paycheck to pay your house payment, whether it's rent, mortgage, whatever, that's a scenario that you don't want to be in. If you have enough money put away where you can get by several months, then yes, a layoff might be looked at as a relief, as freedom, even though it's just temporary because most people have to go back to work at some point. People are taking these layoffs many different ways. And actually, the one we're going to look at next, someone was actually happy to be laid off because their job was very stressful. They actually didn't like their job. And that's another thing. People are working jobs that they absolutely dislike because they have to, because their back's up against the wall financially. They have loan payments due. They have car notes due. Right? All the monthly costs, even utility bills are going up. People are more stressed out about that. And all right, let's go on to the next one. Oh, the screen name, though, I want to put this in here. The screen name was Lauren's Legend. That's the one we just watched. But actually, before we move on, look at this, folks. Layoff anxiety. Most people are bracing to get laid off. Look at this. Market Watch here. Layoff anxiety survey, 7 to 10 workers are bracing for job cuts. People see the writing on the wall. And, people, a few months ago, people got their hopes up. They were fed the line that tariffs are going to fix everything. Everybody's going to be rich. All this money is going to come pouring in. We're going to send out stimulus checks. Remember that? They said they were going to send out stimulus checks from the tariffs. Of course, all we've seen was prices continue to go higher. No stimulus checks, just as we talked about here. We told you don't get your hopes up. It's probably not going to happen. Cost of living's going up. We just saw another uptick in inflation here. Just bring this up real quick here. The most recent reading was 2.7%, up from 2.4%. which was up from 2.3%. So several months in a row of not just higher prices, but increasing inflation. In other words, prices are going up, but they're going up more rapidly over the past few months. But what I like to look at is cumulative inflation, right? Which charts like this are okay because they show you the year over year change in inflation. So prices are 2.7% higher this year than last year. Of course, that's the official number. We can look at lots of examples where it's much higher than that, but just going off the official number here, 2.7%, but that's year over year. Look at the cumulative chart that adds them on top of each other. It just gives you the total cumulative view of the cost of living and inflation, not just year over year here. Take a look at this. Consumer Price Index, folks. Ever since the 70s when the money printer went out of control, of course, we saw it really start to skyrocket there in the early 70s. Financial crisis, we saw a big run up and then a blip back down because banks really tightened up at first. But then the lending was kicked into the next higher gear, so to speak. And of course, we know what happened in 2020. They flooded the economy with money. Massive debt, of course, that led to higher prices. And hasn't really turned back, has it? All right, so when you look at the cumulative inflation, it really tells you the picture. It really paints the picture on where your purchasing power has actually gone. I mean, what does a dollar buy you now? If you go back many, many decades and just look at what you can buy with a dollar, you've lost over 90% of your purchasing power, right? And that's what nobody really rarely talks about from what I see. All right, next we're going to hear from Sean Sloop. That's S-E-A-N, Sean Sloop, from up in Michigan, just got laid off. Let's listen to his story.
Yeah, why I got laid off is a good question. So I'll give a little bit of background. So I worked in the food service industry. So I worked for a large food distributor here in Michigan. And a little bit about the industry is it's pretty low margin when you work in food distribution. And right now people aren't eating out as much as you can imagine, a lot of rising costs.
People not eating out as much, of course, right? That's where people cut back. When they ultimately hit the financial wall, you have to start cutting back somewhere. And with the credit cards being maxed out right now, the interest rates on those credit cards really adding to the debt burden substantially. People are choosing when and where to cut back, and we're seeing less travel, less people going to Vegas, less people dining out, right? The restaurants aren't empty, of course, but people are cutting back, right? Let's continue with Sean here.
So I think the industry is not growing very much, as well as a lot of uncertainty with the current political situation with, as you know, tariffs are being instated, things like that, that just kind of impacting the economy in uncertain ways. So in corporate speak, they're trying to cut costs. Essentially, they took my team, I was a team manager, and merged it with another and eliminated my position along with a couple others.
He was a team manager. They took his team, sounds like, and merged it with another team. So now the manager that didn't get laid off, that was managing the other team, probably has a lot more workload put up on them, so to speak. So what's they're doing, folks? They're consolidating, cutting costs, and again, you're disposable to most of these companies. Probably, I dare to say all companies.
Yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
All right, we appreciate people like him putting it out there, folks. And this could be any one of us. Maybe it's you watching this video today. And maybe that's why you are checking this type of content out with financial layoffs, the job market, cost of living, investing, because I would really encourage people, if you're not investing, to start investing, get a little nest egg. And I know most people, when they get a nest egg, they'll just go spend it right away. I would dare to say most people, that's how they're living. You get some money, you want to have some fun, you're going to go spend it, right? The paycheck crowd. And there are some that aren't spending their money like that are still paycheck to paycheck. They're just buying the necessities. They're not going out on unnecessary travel and vacations and spending and going to bars and restaurants. They're just coming home from work, going back to work, pretty much a monotonous lifestyle, which is pretty sad. Pretty sad to think about that a lot of people just work to pay bills. So I could see people that go out and had fun. I just went to a campground and spend some money. It was 100 and something a night to hook up, plus everything at the campground was very expensive. It's called Campland here in San Diego. Very fun place, by the way. Sometimes you have to just have fun, folks. And if it's spending money that you really don't have, or if you're blowing through your savings, people are going to do that, folks. But more and more people are hitting a wall. And by the way, we're on pace for the store closures. I said I was going to talk about that. Let me just bring up that information real quick for you. As we talked about, this was going to happen this year. Store closings likely to hit record this year. Now we're a little bit more than halfway through the year here, and we're on pace to beat last year. And last year was a record. So now we're going to set another record this year for store closures. What does that tell you? Things aren't getting better. Things are just getting worse. I hope you're in a good spot. I hope you're prepared for what's coming. Like we talked about, though, layoff anxiety. Most people, I'll bring it up again. Look at this. Most people are bracing for job cuts. 70% of people are bracing. They're preparing to lose their job. They're preparing to get laid off. They're preparing for their company to downsize and say, see ya. They're going to say, see you later, folks. So let me know what you think about this. What's your strategy? Of course, you know my strategy. Invest multiple streams of income. Cut back where you can, but try to have some fun. Maybe low cost fun that doesn't max out your credit cards. How's about that for an idea? Let me know your ideas, folks, down in the comments. As always, big love. Keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.